Good morning. I just wanted to take a moment. Like I said, there's going to be some things coming and doing, and some changes being made. So, at this moment, today, right now, I want to talk a little bit about my trucking career. Now, I'm almost 50 years old now, so I started driving commercially when I was really young. Probably before I was supposed to. My family had a hardware store, and in that hardware store, I started delivering products at the age of 15. Because in Mississippi, I got my license at 15. So with one-ton trucks and pickup trucks, I would be delivering product all the way back to 15 years old. And 16, 17, 18. I was delivering using the 1 tons and the big 2 ton. Man, we had some old trucks. One of them it was a big old Ford 2 ton or 2.5 ton, whatever size it was. Man, she was a monster, but she didn't have a monster engine. But she still pulled. It was like a 360. I want to say 362, but 360 was a Ford and a Dodge engine back then. But it had a big, huge 1 barrel carburetor on it. It was pretty awesome. But then we had, the 351 modified in our 1 ton dually long wheelbase. And then we had a 360 in our short wheelbase 1 ton. That thing would beat you to death because they had welded the springs up so it could tote a heavier load. But those were the early days. Whenever I got to be 21, that's whenever I went and got my CDL through a CDL school, of which is a complete ripoff because they want to charge you an exorbitant sum, and it's only a couple of week program. And anyway, it was a ripoff, which I already knew how to drive, but I just needed to get the license. And in order to get the license, you needed to do the pre-trips and the driving test and all of that kind of stuff. But I could have went on out on the road because I already knew how to drive. I just needed to know all the nuances of driving. But I started off with a company named Burlington Motor Carriers, and did that for a little while. That was back before cell phones, before the internet. We had to stop at the truck stop and call in. We had paper logs. It was fun stuff. I learned a lot of stuff about pre-trip planning and how to find places, because I have been in a position where I had to call the local police departments to find customers because they just couldn't find them on the map, no matter what I tried to do. But the police back then were a lot more giving than they are nowadays. But that was interesting. I quit that for a little while, and I come home and I drove. Those acetylene and oxygen trucks with the bottles and all. I drove that for a little while because I had my hazmats back then. I still got my tankers, but I let the hazmats go after 9/11. Did that for a while, and then I went back to the hardware store and I started driving the big tandem axle trucks with the forklift on the back. Done that for a while, but I ended up right back in the truck hauling cardboard paper or international paper, and then I hauled a lot of feed for Cargill out of Franklinton, Louisiana. Man, we had hopper bottoms and augers, and I drove some log trucks. As a truck driver, I drove pretty much everything. I drove a lot of flatbeds when I was younger, and then I owned my own flatbed. I owned 3 different trucks. I had a single axle, 2 Cascadias. I had a Kenworth. Had my own authority for a while, but the Lord took that, and I learned a lot of lessons with the trucking company with that. I even had a brokerage for a short term and tried my hand at that. But with all of the fraud in the industry, and it just was not worth the risk to me and my family and my customers. When you start a brokerage out, you pretty much have to take whoever will take your freight, because a lot of people won't take your freight without a credit reference online, so you could get some shady characters that were willing to pull your freight, but then what if they never delivered the load? You couldn't get no recourse, and your customer who depended on that freight for their very livelihood to feed their family, you lose that, and then they lose it. You could lose some really close friends, and I just did not like that whole idea, I should have, instead of starting my own brokerage, I should have hired on and became a broker with a already existing brokerage. And if I had it to do over again, that's probably what I would do. But now I leased a truck from Schneider, 2014 Cascadia. I paid it off when I went to Advanced Trucking, and then after Advanced, I went and got my own authority. Now I lost my authority in my trucks, so I ended up having to come back and lease a truck through Advanced Trucking, and that's what I'm doing right now. And they have been great, good friends. They've got a good program. It's just really hard times, There's a lot of things going on that have even made their situation more difficult. But they're sticking it out. They got their nose to the grindstone. They still are not screwing up our stuff. And I appreciate being able to have this truck with them. It's a 2019 Freightliner Cascadia. It has an APU, has a refrigerator, an inverter. It gets pretty good diesel mileage. Fully loaded, I'm getting 7.2, running 70 miles an hour between Jacksonville and Houston, Texas. The maintenance is not that bad. They have a great maintenance program. They have a great fuel program. I really wish I could stay longer, but I don't believe that's in the cards. Anyway, that's all for today's video. I'll have more videos coming out in the near future about what all is happening. God bless. I'll catch you on the next ride.